Hey there, and welcome to Guidance Through Gaia. My name is Amber. Um, you know what? Let's just get rid of this stick. This is like the fourth or fifth time I've had to do this because um, I had some videos that I deleted that I wasn't happy with for one reason or another, and didn't move them out of my trash, so I kept exceeding like the limit with this video. But that's just a reminder. Take out your trash. Thank you, Jack. He's one of my dogs. He sneezed. Um, so, today's theme is going to be, well, it's going to be about the theme of May. And what I mean by the theme of May is something that is going to significantly impact you in May or something that you're focusing on in May. I kind of left it open to interpretation because sometimes we don't necessarily have things monumental that really happen to us. And so, we're not all going to get a new job. We're not all going to get into a new relationship. We're not all going to buy a house. We're not all going to have a baby, but I think each month can still have significance in some way to us. With that being said, this also does leave the door open for what kind of message it's going to be. My hope is that it's going to be like just unapologetically like exciting and positive. But the message that we could get in any one of these piles might be about a challenge you could be facing or a setback you could be facing in the month of May. And if that's not something that you feel that you are interested in hearing right now, or that you feel at a place where you can kind of, oh God, what's the word? Well, I guess there's a word in my head, and I don't know what it is. If that's not a message that you feel like right now you kind of have the spoons for, we'll say, the mental capacity to handle, that's totally understandable. You don't have to do anything, my friend. I'm not here to push anything on you. And in general, I mean, if you resonate with a pile, but there are messages that don't seem applicable to you, don't worry about it. I had a theater professor who once told us, like, take what you can use and throw the rest away. Like, this is a general reading. So I expect, that there are going to be especially the finer details that are not going to apply to everybody who felt drawn to a specific pile. And of course, there are no rules here. This is anarchy. You're free to choose a different pile if you feel like one doesn't resonate with you, or you're free to pick multiple piles. And at the end of the day, just use your discernment. I mean, this is a method of communication, and I am just relaying what I am interpreting and what I am feeling. And that's something that I think we're all capable of doing. I'm not the only one who has a connection with the universe or spirit or God or my higher intuition, whatever you want to think of it as. So, my word is not law. And sometimes you may be able to find a message that's meant for you in a way that I haven't addressed. Or sometimes communication or interpretations can be a little fuzzy because, like, myself as a querent may not have completely and sufficiently expressed my intentions, or maybe like I'm not understanding what the universe is trying to express. It's kind of like if there are two people, like one who's very scientifically minded and one who's very like literary minded, and they're trying to convey ideas on a topic, but they're using language that might be more difficult for the other person to understand. So they have to work with each other and find ways to communicate sufficiently. And that sometimes that's a process. Sometimes it just takes time. Yeah, so those are my disclaimers. We have here 3 piles. We have pile 1 with this fox pendant. We have pile 2 with this bear pendant. We have pile 3 with this wolf pendant. I got these all from the Como Zoo. I believe that's in St. Paul. And I'll tell you what, the gift shops where they got me. Because like with the Como Zoo, you only have to pay like what you want to. You don't even actually have to pay. Right now, they're still doing it where it's like you have to have a reservation, and I think that's due to COVID. But the reservation is free. They do have like what they recommend for a donation based upon like your age, but other than that, entrance is completely free. But man, they got me with the jewelry. How we're gonna do this is we're gonna take a look at the general message of what the theme of the month of May is going to be for you by looking at some pre-shuffled oracle cards. We're going to then go to tarot to figure out kind of the more specific circumstances under which this message applies. And then we are going to get some message cards for guidance. And this is a reading that could encompass anything. It could be about a job, a relationship, a move, inner workings. It could encompass a multitude of things. And because like I said, not all of us are going to get married. Not all of us are going to get a new job. But we all have an opportunity to take something from the month of May and just build ourselves up and grow from it. So with that being said, go ahead if you need to pause this video and focus and figure out which one you feel drawn to. I will see you at your pile. All right, pile number 1. Oh shoot, how am I doing this? Pay no attention to the woman behind the cell phone. Okay, so, excuse me, rocks. Get my rocks off. This is the tarot of the Sacred Dreamer, I believe. This is the deck that I've had for the longest. Not my first deck, but the one in my possession that I've owned for the longest period of time. And it comes with, today, the Fox Charm. When I bought this, when I bought all of the jewelry from the zoo, I bought them with intention. So when I wear the fox pendant, my intention is to be playful for the day. If I've been too serious, if I've been in my head, this is something that allows me to kind of focus and harness this energy of just being carefree and playful and lively. And I don't know if that's really going to apply to this reading, but, I think it's worth mentioning. That's what my intention was. Let's try not to just throw all these rocks overboard. So we're going to move this and we're going to get the oracle cards first. So we have number 27. What do you really want? It's the Dream Enchantress. Sorry, that's the name of tarot. Okay. But it was in reverse. So that's how we're going to take it. Then we have Cut the Cords of Doubt, number 42. We have number 11, The Song of Your Heart. And what I thought was really cool was that I had already chosen the fox pendant for this pile. And see, you got these little foxes. We have number 13, Dignified Strength. And then we have Watchtower of the South, Summer. So pile number 1. What I feel from these cards about the month of May is that it's all about having achieved some kind of success. I think that there is something that you have been working really hard on, that at times you may have had doubts about. We've got this what do you really want card, but it's in reverse. And so maybe for a significant period of your life, you didn't know what you wanted, or you didn't know how to get what you wanted. And maybe kind of had this really scattered energy, which is valid. I think a lot of us go through that. I know I certainly have. And I think that's caused you kind of a lot of stress. Like, you didn't know exactly where you belonged, you didn't know exactly who you were, what you were doing. But I feel like you're really reaching a point this May where you have overcome this intense hurdle. And we've got cut the cords of doubt. I think that's really significant. I think that's the universe kind of telling you, like, this is meant for you. And there's no need to feel like suspicious about it, I suppose. The universe really, really wants you to take this time to be grateful for yourself and all that you've accomplished and all of the hard work that you have put in, and to acknowledge, like, this is where you're meant to be, that you have manifested this, that you have moved towards this. We have the Song of Your Heart card, which talks about, really following your heart, following your passions, doing what is authentic to you. Which is also highlighted by this Dignified Strength card. In the booklet, the card talks about, like, being in an environment that caters to our authentic selves, being surrounded by the people who appreciate us for us, doing something that matters to us. And so both of these cards really highlight being true to yourself. And by doing that, you are going to be drawing in the people who will support and uplift you. And what's the word I want to use? The opportunities that will allow you to expand and grow in a way that offers confidence. And Watchtower of the South, Summer, to me, this is very much about letting go and about enjoying the moment. This card reminds me a lot of Leo, like, the really positive, fun aspects of Leo, because I know you guys can be sensitive sometimes, and I know you get a bad rap for being egotistical, but just know y'all are the kings, queens, and majesties of the jungle, and we love you. But Leo, like, typically represents spontaneity and freedom and fun and being unapologetically authentic and courageous and confident. And I think that's really what this month of May is going to be for you. This opportunity to revel in your successes, this opportunity to take a break from all of the effort that you've had to exude, and to just really relish in whatever it is that you have succeeded in. And so now what I want to do, pile one, is I want to take a look at tarot and really see, like, the specifics more so of how this is affecting your month of May, like what the circumstances are around this. Oh, I forgot to light my candle. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. Will you light my candle? I'm sorry. I sing a lot. So, universe, what are the circumstances surrounding the theme of pile number one's May? What are the circumstances surrounding the theme of the pile? Okay. We got the... Okay, yeah. So we have number 8, in reverse, which is Justice. Justice in reverse. Now, this is the deck that I always get really confused with, because in most decks, the number 8 is actually strength. But occasionally, justice and strength can be reversed, like switched. All right, Spirit, can you please? Oh, well, we have the Queen of Cups. Oh, yeah, I can already see, like, it seems like you have really gone through a lot to get to this point. All right, Spirit. What are the circumstances around the theme of May? We have the Queen of Wands. This always, because of the color scheme and the background, always makes me think of the Queen of Pentacles. This always gives me like very like stable, grounded vibes. But the Queen of Wands is also about like, you know, creation, passion. All right, can we clarify this Justice in reverse, Spirit? It's Justice of reverse. Please clarify this Justice in reverse. Okay, all the Magician in reverse. Oh. I'm already gonna tell you this. Like, I am so happy for you. Whatever this is, like... Oh, jeez. I'm gonna take this upright. Whatever this is, you know, you deserve it. You've earned it. I've got the Nine of Pentacles. What's interesting to me about this Nine of Pentacles, so the Nine of Pentacles is often seen as like a very independent energy, you know, romantically like singles, or really just having confidence in ourselves and being proud of ourselves. But in this particular deck, we see two people who are really reaping the benefits of their hard work. And then can we clarify? Oh my God. Okay. The Three of Swords in reverse. So my intention was that when I designed the idea and the method for this reading, for it to be kind of more specific about what area of your life was going to be impacted, you know, so that it would be kind of more clear about like if it was going to be career oriented or family oriented, romance oriented, inner working oriented. And I'm not necessarily getting that per se in this reading. You know, we have all four suits here. We have swords, we have wands, we have cups, and we have pentacles. And we have two major arcana. But you know what? We're going to start going for it. So we've got Justice in reverse, clarified by the Magician in reverse. So this is something that's really significant to you because, referring back to the earlier portion of the reading, you didn't feel capable. You've kind of felt like things weren't in your favor, that there was a lot of opposition, that the cards were kind of stacked against you, and that really impacted your ability to transform, to create, to move in the direction that you wanted. And then we've got the Queen of Cups in reverse, clarified by the Nine of Pentacles, which, you know, I think what that kind of demonstrates is that you really kind of felt like you couldn't express yourself to others. There was no reward for you in being emotionally vulnerable with others, that you kind of had to close yourself off because it didn't feel like there were people in your corner who had your best interests at heart. But that on your own, you have been able to stand tall and to create something in spite of that heartache, in spite of feeling like there were people who took advantage of you or who hurt you, you were really able to kind of build your own empire. I am curious. I want to see if Spirit's going to give me a little bit more. It might just be, I mean, all these messages are general readings, but like this might just be something that is a message that's meant for kind of a multitude of scenarios. So let's see. Can you tell me more about the circumstances around the theme of Pile 1's May? I love that we have two queens here, though. And they're like, there's progress, you know. With the Queen of Cups in reverse, it's like someone took your power away, like you felt like you didn't have any power. But with the Queen of Wands, like, you got it back. Oh, what's this? We've got 12. The Hanged Man. I think that's all I'm going to get. So this could be, if anything, this could be relating to like your self-confidence, your connection to your spirituality, or your healing journey. I think if there's a kind of specific situation that you're achieving success in the month of May, I think it's about that. I mean, we've got the Hanged Man, which is about looking at different perspectives. Can also be like stagnant energy, but in general, I think, you know, like the circumstances around the month of May, how you get to this point of being confident and feeling like you have made such amazing progress, and being able to kind of take a deep breath and relax and have all of this weight come off of your shoulders is really by taking a different look at things, kind of disregarding what people have said to you in the past that brought you down, or the judgment that you felt like was coming against you, or even from yourself, you know, or feeling like the world was against you, and just really shifting your perspective on that. Which is hard to do sometimes, especially if it's a thought process like that we've had for a long time. Retraining our brains is very intentional work. And it's trial and error, you know, but once we start to master the ability to do that, it's amazing how liberated we can feel from like the restraints that we thought were holding us, whether they were self-imposed, whether we thought they were imposed by the universe or by other people. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into some message cards. And I got a few different coins. That didn't go the way I wanted it to. Okay. Hi, my name's Amber. I know how to hold cards. All right, so what's some guidance for pile number 1 regarding the month of May? Guidance for pile number 1 regarding the month of May. We have engagement. Today I make the conscious choice to engage with the world in an active way. I'll take a new route and talk to strangers. I will smell flowers and pet dogs, and maybe walk around barefoot for a while if I'm not inside a 7-Eleven. At the very least, I'll have a day that's slightly more interesting than average, and at the most, I'll have a startling epiphany or make a friend who will change my life forever. No pressure. So really, I think that's more about talking about you taking advantage of the opportunities to be really active in your life, to make active changes and not feel like you are kind of at the mercy of external forces. I think that's really, really important for the month of May, or something that you may have already done. Let's get another message card. What is some guidance for pile number 1 for the month of May? Guidance for pile number 1 for the month of May. Jade, be the bigger person. So it definitely does feel like there have been people in your life that have really been obstacles, and people who have not had him, you felt may not have had the most support for you, at least, or at most felt like they were kind of intentionally sabotaging you. So be the bigger person, and what that means is like you don't have to actively find ways to be nice to them. Sometimes being the bigger person is just walking away and going, you know what, this connection doesn't serve me. I'm not listening to this. I'm not taking in this kind of energy because I know my worth. I want to know who these people are, pile number 1. It sounds like you got some negative ass people in your life. You don't need that. But the month of May really, I think, is drawing in more of a genuine and authentic crowd, because you are being genuine and authentic. So, universe, what do we have as a guidance, as a message for pile number 1 about their month of May? Message for pile number 1, their month of May. I love Oracle decks, but some of these are so flippin' big. It's like hard to shuffle them. Oh, we got 2. Villain. You can always rewrite the story. And that was number 38, and this is number 34. Voyage. You already have the answers. So nobody else gets to decide who you are, and nobody else gets to decide where you go in life. Life is really your story to make. And sometimes we may have setbacks. Sometimes there are things that we don't have the biggest control over, but we always have control over our mentality. And every situation has a cycle. It's not permanent. And so if you're in a difficult place right now, there will always be a time, as long as you keep that door open and remain patient and vigilant, where there will be more positive opportunities. And I think this is like really true with the cut the cords of doubt, and the what do you really want in reverse is just like, listen to yourself. You don't need anybody else to give their input unless you sincerely want it, you know? Nobody else should be the one deciding what you do with your life, where you go, how you feel about yourself. You have that power, and make sure you take that power, you know? Don't give it away, because not everybody knows or cares what's best for you, you know? And then we're going to do one more message for pile number 1 about the month of May. Okay, so I've got these Harry Potter cards. So we don't stand J.K. Rowling here because she's a TERF, but in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Professor Trelawney claims to see the Grim in Harry's teacup. The Grim is a superstition in the wizarding world, an omen of death to anyone who sees it. What superstitions do you believe in? How do they affect the way you approach your life? And I think that really is significant in that it's talking about, like, what limiting beliefs do you have about yourself and your capabilities? Because once we challenge those, and once we find a way to kind of counter those negative self-talk scripts, we can break free from them. And then our opportunities and our capabilities really expand. So, pile number 1, that's all I have for you today. I hope this resonated with you. If it did, please let me know. I would love to hear your story, whether this is, you know, a decision that you're working towards, or something that that you are already able to kind of enjoy because you've done the hard work. Whatever your situation, I really wish you all the best of luck, and don't listen to the fake ass people. You know, you follow your heart, you know, do what makes you happy and be authentic to yourself, and you are going to attract the right opportunities and the right people. So take care, pile number 1. Bye. Hey, pile number 2. So you chose the bear pendant and the white Numen tarot. So when I bought these pieces of jewelry, I had an intention with every single one of them, to kind of like encompass certain traits that I felt would benefit me when I wore them. So the bear to me, and I know this is like, I think it's hematite. I don't know. Is that the right word? I don't know. I'm still learning. There's so much I don't understand, but you know, it's an expansive universe. So we'll get there. But I always think of this as a polar bear. I stinking love polar bears. That kind of stemmed from his dark materials. The Panzerbjorn, Uric. So, and what this makes me think of is durability. So I wear this during days where I feel like, you know, maybe I've been really sensitive, or felt, you know, weak or whatever. And so I wear this to feel durable, you know, to be able to walk through the day and go like, I'm okay. I got this. You know, I'm not going to let negative energy or negative circumstances impact me. So we're going to put that right here. And we're going to get into your oracle cards first, after I take a drink of water. Okay, so we have You, the Muse, number 3, with the lotus flower. which is interesting because lotus flowers are really durable. They grow in very difficult circumstances. We have when grief breeds creativity. And we have Lord God, masculine. There's Mr. Pan there. And then we have number 27, Pluto, rebirth in reverse. So this is one of those situations where I feel like the month of May probably is going to be a little bit difficult for you. You may still be struggling heavily with something that has been painful for you, whether it's like the loss of a relationship. I'm really also getting like the loss of a loved one for some reason, or anything that just kind of has made you feel forlorn, melancholy, you know, physically and emotionally and mentally and spiritually exhausted. So the month of May, I think, is really an opportunity for you to process that grief and to take back, you know, begin the process of taking back your power. So we have Pluto in reverse, rebirth. And the book talks about Pluto and, you know, the afterlife, how there's always somebody who either, you know, there's like this duality to it. Somebody who, oh, maybe that's why I'm thinking of a literal death. Someone who, you know, either goes down to the underworld but then is able to escape, or another person who is like guiding souls to the underworld or rules the underworld. And that's the difficult thing about death, is like it's part of a cycle. And I work in a long-term care facility, and so I get really attached to the people that I'm caring for. And the year that I've worked there have been several deaths, and it's always really hard. This might not mean a literal death. This really could talk about any kind of death, any kind of ending, any kind of change. But at the end of the day, you know, it's really going to be you who decides how you let this affect you. You know, this card is you the muse. You are the one who you are the one who really shapes yourself. This does feel like really heavy, and I kind of want to cry. So if you've gone through something, pile too, whether it's like a literal death of somebody in your life or like a figurative death in some way, like there's no easy answer, you know, and it's not something that you just like shove away and ignore. It's not something that is ever easy to just like quote unquote get over. I mean, when it comes to like my father passing, it's been 16 years and I'm still not over it. Like, I still sometimes cry and feel angry. I've just learned to cope with it better, and I've come to more secure terms with it. But the pain is still there. But we can either allow the emotions and the grief to control us, or we can utilize them for their intended purpose. Like acknowledge them, experience them, explore them, because we shouldn't deny emotions. Like, we have to feel emotions to process them in the situation. But, we should also, how do I want to put this? Remind ourselves that we are in a position of authority. And it's really the month of May, whatever grief has has occurred, like whatever death in your life has occurred. I think the month of May is really about you taking your power back and you utilizing that experience and that feeling in a way that is creating something. We have when grief breeds creativity. Yeah. And these cards, I don't want to make it flagged for this. I don't know. These cards are showing like a snake entering into a woman's womb. And she's crying, but then there are also musical notes and then flowers just overall. And so it's like she's inviting the pain inside of her. No longer trying to hide from it, no longer trying to deny it, but understanding that it has a place. And then, like, at her heart center, she has a butterfly, which is all about transformation. And she's able to turn these tears into music notes. And so this might literally be a call for you, if you feel particularly creatively inclined, to make something, to take that pain that you're feeling and put that energy into something creative. Whether it's like a song or a poem or a play or a book or a movie or a podcast. It could be even like, it doesn't necessarily have to be anything particularly like traditionally creative. If you wouldn't consider yourself an artist, it could be creating a space that you feel is calming and nurturing. It could be like maybe you're into woodworking, so it could be literally like crafting and creating like chairs, or doing like household projects, like home improvement projects, like roofing or tiling or landscaping, anything that you can use to kind of process those feelings and utilize that energy in a way that's constructive. And it's not a distraction. There's it can be a fine line between like distracting yourself and utilizing your pain to create. But May really, I think, is about whatever it is that you've gone through, whatever painful experience you've gone through. Realize that like you have these emotions, but these emotions don't own you, and you can take those emotions and you can do something beautiful with them. And with like Lord, God, masculine, even here, see, this is another creative kind of reference here, because he's got his I think there's a specific name for it, but like his flute or whatever. Masculine energy is all about action. It's about taking action. And so I think whether you are feminine, masculine, or somewhere in the middle, we all have feminine energy and masculine energy and have at times a different need for balance. Sometimes the situation calls for us being more in our masculine energy. Sometimes the situation calls for us being more in our feminine energy. But the month of May is really encouraging you and giving you this opportunity to get into your masculine energy and to utilize your emotions as momentum to do something, to take action. So now what I want to do is I want to take the tarot cards and I want to look into I think I want to look into like what kind of actions, like what kind of action the universe is recommending. This is a little bit different than what I did for pile number 1, but I'm learning through readings. I watch a lot of readings on YouTube, like really the beauty of flexibility, which is something that I'm not typically used to. I'm a Virgo. I'm not very flexible, which is weird. Like, I don't know. I'm just not. All right. So what actions should pile number 2 take in the month of May? What actions should pile number 2 take in the month of May? What actions should the pile number 2 take in the month? We have the Queen of Swords in reverse. What actions should pile number 2 take in the month of May? We have the Hermit in reverse. What actions should pile number 2 take? I think it's kind of funny that I said, like, I'm a Virgo, and then the Hermit came out. What actions? We have the Chariot. Okay, what? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't take all this. What actions? Oh, the Four of Swords in reverse. What actions should pile number 2 take in the month of May? What actions should pile number 2 take in the month of May? The Nine of Pentacles. Got the Nine of Pentacles for pile number 1, too. What actions should pile number 2 take for the month of May? Come on over, baby. Hey, boy, don't you know there's something going on? I don't know. Christina Aguilera just kind of came into my mind. Oh, this is, still too, I'm sorry, Spirit. I can't take all of those. Then we've got the Three of Swords. in reverse. So we also got the Three of Swords in reverse as well. For pile number 1. And the Nine of Pentacles upright in the same position. I don't know. They kind of feel like different energies. But if you felt drawn to pile number 1, you might want to check that out as well. Sometimes when I feel drawn to more than one pile, both piles have like really strong ways in which they resonate with me, but sometimes like I pick a pile and I'm like, this just doesn't seem to fit. And then I go and I choose a different pile and it's like, oh, because there's a connection between the two of them. There's some kind of common theme that they share that is like, okay, I understand why I was drawn to the first pile, but this other pile that I chose really resonates with me more strongly. So we have a lot of swords here. So a lot about really being in your head. Which is interesting to me because like the oracle cards really gave off like this emotional feeling, you know, but with them being all in like reverse, it feels like maybe you have been oh. Okay. You've been keeping this to yourself, pile number 2. The pain that you're going through. I'm not sure if others know about what you have been experiencing. If they do, at the very least, I don't think that you have been communicating with them the extent to which it's affecting you. You know, swords are often about, rational thinking, but they're also about like communication. We've got the Queen of Swords here in reverse. And we've got the Four of Swords, which typically is about resting. But, it's one of like kind of the few cards of the swords that's got a more positive connotation and association. But in reverse, I mean, it's about the inability to rest. Just feeling so bogged down and not feeling like you are able to take a break from it. And so what you really haven't been communicating is really just how much this is on your mind and how much it's in your heart and how deeply it's affecting you. And that, it's gotten to a point where it doesn't seem like you're mentally in a very good place or emotionally in a very good place. We have the Hermit in reverse. The Hermit upright is really talking about seclusion and trying to gain a higher perspective. But in reverse, it can talk about like being too stuck in the ego or really just wanting to kind of come out of hermit mode. And I think the month of May is really an opportunity for you to step out of your solitude, because I think like the Nine of Pentacles, is typically like an independent card, but you've got like these ravens that are bringing these coins to this individual. And so what I think you'll find is that when you step out of your solitude and when you really take time to connect with other people genuinely and to put yourself out there, I think you'll find that you receive so much. There's actually an abundance that will come your way. I think you'll have a lot of emotional support. I definitely think that. I mean, Pentacles, we think of like career and stuff like that, but I really think that in the month of May, you should really work on reconnecting with others. Come out of your solitude. Could be, putting in the effort too. Putting in this creative effort because you are going to reap rewards. We have the Chariot, which is about movement. A lot of times I think of like movement in either direction. It's interesting because like this, typically when you see the Chariot, you see like two horses or two creatures, and this only has one. But the Chariot is also really about moving in a direction that's in your best interest. What is going to be most fulfilling to you. And, that's going to be what really helps you mend from this trauma of what you're experiencing. Any more guidance on the actions that pile number 2 should take? Which one is this? It's the 9 of Wands, but I don't know which way it wants to go. Okay, we've got the 9 of Wands in reverse. Can you please clarify that, Spirit? Because that's about like really being exhausted and beaten down. Can you please clarify the 9 of Wands? And the 7 of Cups. And it's funny because at the back of the deck both times it's been the Ace of Swords. Really offering communication. So the 7 of Cups is about having a lot of options and kind of being like indecisive. And that's something that may have caused you a lot of frustration and really depleted your energy. I'm getting like maybe there's a lot of things that you've tried to do to heal from it, or you feel like people have kind of put in their own inputs way too much. And so what I'm getting is just like really, really center yourself. Pull yourself up out of your hermit status, but go in the direction that you want to. A lot of people, they mean well to try to tell you like, how to heal or what you should do. I don't think there's anybody in your life who's really gonna like intentionally be crass or lack tact. But at the end of the day, like I said in the beginning of the video, take what you can use and throw the rest away. Like, other people can support us in our healing journey, But we are the only ones who can actually do the healing. And what works for one person to heal does not necessarily work for another person to heal. So I'm going to get some further guidance for you, pile number 2. And I just want to say, like, you got this. You do. And just know that I'm here supporting you and rooting for you. So Spirit, what guidance do we have for pile number 2? Power. I am strong. I am grounded. I am powerful. This is exactly what I was talking about, because, you know, when we're in a depression, when we've had something terrible happen to us or around us, and it really feels like we've lost our power, like we are controlled by our feelings or external forces, but in reality, like, we have that power. We just have to find a way to regain it. I am like a cross between a dinosaur and a tank, but not a tank that is used for war. I am like a peaceful, loving dino tank who feels so strong it doesn't need to do anything but be. I love that. I love that for you. We're going to get another one. Okay, what advice do we have for pile number 2? Advice, guidance we have for pile number 2. Okay. We have agate, get back into balance. Definitely, because that heaviness of emotions can be really consuming. And it's important to experience those emotions. It's important to acknowledge them and work through them. But if we don't regulate ourselves, they can become overpowering and then just be like the entire frame of mind that we have. So it's really important to do things that really bring you back into that balance, whether it's talking with people that you trust, whether it's like shadow work, meditation, whether it's going into counseling or doing something creative or doing something physical, whatever you feel drawn to, pile 2. And, you know, sometimes it takes trial and effort. Sometimes you're like, well, maybe this will work. Maybe this will help. And after a while, you're like, this isn't doing anything for me. And that's okay. Like, you have innumerable options ahead of you to help you heal. So don't lose hope. Don't give up. All right, another piece of advice for pile number 2. Please give us some advice for pile number 2. Potion. Remember to practice self-love. That is so important, pile number 2. When you nurture yourself, you are giving yourself the power to heal. And it's... I can't express just how important self-love is. Because it also, like, counters that negative self-talk when we're in a depression. And it really kind of helps put us back into balance. So one more card, please. Advice for pile number 2. I'll say what I said in pile number 1. We do not stand the turf J.K. Rowling here, but I still have a love for Harry Potter. Oh my god. Experiencing loss. They have different themes. At the end of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Dumbledore comforts Harry in his office after Sirius's death. trying to help him understand that it was not Harry's fault that his godfather died. After Dumbledore's death in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Ron and Hermione visit the astronomy tower with Harry, quietly offering their support and companionship to their grieving friend. How do you provide comfort and support to someone who is dealing with grief and loss? Oh, I'm sorry. And what I'm going to say about that question, how do you comfort and support someone? What I'm going to say is that's a good question to ask, because that's the exact same thing you should do to yourself. Pile number 2, like, I wish I could give you the biggest hug, and whatever you've gone through, just know that I am keeping you in my highest regards. There are a lot of different support systems out there, whether you have someone like in your life personally that you can speak with for support, whether you seek like professional guidance. Like I meet with a counselor. I'm at a point where I meet with a counselor once a month, and I'm on medication, as well as doing work on my own. But I cannot express enough, like, if you find a therapist who really works well with you, that can work wonders. And or whether it's like you go online or you call a hotline or whatever you need to do to take care of yourself, whatever you would tell someone else to do to help ease this pain, do it for yourself, because you deserve it. Pile number 2. Oh my God. That is all that I have for you. If that resonated with you, then I don't feel like it's really appropriate to ask you to share. I mean, if you want to, you have my utmost support, and I hope that I was able to help in some way. That's to me the most important thing, is that this offered some kind of guidance or insight or reassurance that benefits you. So take care, pile number 2. I'm going to be thinking about you. Oh my God. Pile number 3. You chose the Wolf Pendant and the Disney Villain Tarot. So, like I told the other 2 piles, when I purchased these pieces of jewelry, I had intentions. So with the wolf, I like to think of it as seeing clearly, seeing through illusions, seeing truth. And not sure if that's going to be something that resonates with you for this pile. It does feel like with the other 2 piles, that was kind of relevant to the theme. I'm interested to see what this one is, because pile number 1 was really positive. Like, I mean, there was some heavy energy in there, but like pile number 1, I felt pretty happy with. Pile number 2 was very, very heavy energy. I wish them all the best. So I'm interested to see which direction you guys go in. So we're going to start with some oracle cards. We've got What Does Your Soul Say, number 62, but in the reverse. We've got The Distraction of Shiny Things, number 15, also in the reverse. We've got number 28, Authentically You. We've got Herbal Kitchen, Alchemist. And then we have number 45, 7th House, Relationship. So I think, with group number 1, I didn't get really a very strong sense of a specific situation or circumstance. Um, so I felt that was just kind of like a really general message that could apply to dozens of situations. With pile number 2, I felt very strongly about what the message was in relation to. And this one as well. With the 7th house being relationship, I feel like this is a new beginning for you. I feel like the month of May really could potentially bring in a romantic partner. And that's, I mean, further clarified by this alchemist card. Like, you have the ability to create, to draw in what it is that you desire. And I mean, maybe if you do any kind of witchcraft or spirituality, maybe you are somebody who uses a lot of like herbs in your practice. That's not something I've gotten to yet. I like to call myself a green witch, but honestly, like, I haven't been very green lately. I've been more divination. But hey, I mean, that's the whole point of being spiritual. Like, you can explore different areas of your interests. And I feel like maybe in the past this has been very difficult for you. Maybe you've gone through a lot of relationships that were just really unsatisfying, or maybe you've struggled to find a partner at all. And I think that's because, like, truly you didn't understand like what it was that you were looking for, what you really needed. I think with like this, the distraction of shiny things, I think maybe you were looking at things that were really superficial in the beginning. Or maybe you weren't necessarily focused on the superficial, but maybe some like people were kind of able to catch your interest by being superficial. Maybe they were like really handsome, or maybe they were really charming. And so maybe it was in the past really easy to gain your affection because you didn't really have standards, because you weren't paying attention to what you needed. The soul is kind of like, I would say, the opponent of the ego. And, the ego really tells us what we want. But the soul tells us what we need. And it can be a lot more difficult to tap into what our soul is saying, because the ego has a louder voice, I think. And the ego wants a lot of things, whereas I think the soul is more content. Like, the ego is more about quantity over quality, and the soul is more quality over quantity. And it can make it very, very difficult for us to tap into the energy of our soul, into how what our true needs are. And from this, I'm not getting that necessarily you've had like a really traumatic past. I feel like maybe you're in a position where you're just kind of maturing more. Our brains don't fully develop until we're like 25, So even though we are legally adults at 18, at least, in a lot of places. I'm sure there are other countries and stuff that where the age of adulthood might be lower. I'd be surprised if it was higher though. But hey, if you're watching from a different country and like the age of adulthood is higher than 18, I'd really be interested in hearing about that. I think the differences between cultures is really fascinating. But I feel like just kind of in the past, like, you just kind of what's the right word for it? Oh, anyway, yeah, I was sorry, I got distracted. But like, even though in a lot of countries, especially where I live, the age of adulthood is 18. I mean, that doesn't mean that we are fully matured yet. We're, a lot of us, just getting out of our homes, and really experiencing life for the first time, outside of a controlled environment. And we are learning about who we want to become, what we're capable of, and what we don't want in life, and what works for us and what doesn't work for us. Sometimes we're not really paying all that much attention, because we're too busy like enjoying the exploration of adulthood. But even if we're not paying attention, we're still learning, I mean, babies can't conceptualize a whole lot, like, internally, they can't express everything, but they are learning. Like, they're being conditioned, they're learning about their environment and about their needs and stuff like that, and they learn so incredibly fast. And I feel like you're just getting to a point where you're kind of more settled, where you're more in this energy of like, I really do know more of what I want now. And I want something with more substance. And maybe this is an energy you have been in for a while. But I think the month of May is really, really going to benefit you in that department. I think it's really gonna be a time when you are able to kind of bring that relationship dynamic in, and you're going to be able to do that by being yourself. You don't need to pretend to be anybody else. Just be who you are. Engage with the people around you in a way that's true to you. Do what you love. And I think this month could really be profitable for you in the romantic department. Lucky you. I wish this was my reading, but it all comes to us hopefully in the time that it is best. So now we are going to get into your tarot. And I utilize tarot differently for the first two piles. But I think I'll go back to like the first method that I utilized, which is like kind of what other circumstances are surrounding this theme. So, universe, spirit, what are the circumstances surrounding the theme of May for group number 3? I'm going to take it, I guess. The Four of Swords. We have the Knight of Cups in reverse. We have the Seven of Swords in reverse. We have the Three of Wands in reverse. I'm going to get clarifiers for all of these. But it seems like you've kind of taken a break. The Four of Swords. We got the Four of Swords in pile number 2, but it was in the reverse. But the Four of Swords talks about like resting and regaining our strength. It's after a time of difficulty. So I think maybe you've been single for a while. Maybe you've just been kind of working on yourself. Maybe you're like, I'm done with these F boys or F girls or F non-binaries. Equal opportunity for everyone to be an F. But yeah, we have the Four of Wands clarifying the Four of Swords. We have the Eight of Wands clarifying the Knight of Cups in reverse. We have the Magician in reverse clarifying the Seven of Swords. And I kind of want to get a clarifier for this Three of Wands. And I'm not seeing a lot of major arcana in this, which the last two had a significant amount of major arcana in the readings. So what that tells me, but you know, oh my goodness. If you feel that this isn't applicable to your situation, please don't take offense. And this is just an observation of mine that may apply to some, but not everyone. With there being like one major arcana so far, I feel like what that signifies is that maybe none of these relationships were ever long-term, and maybe none of them were ever like super serious. And that could be part of the problem, you know? Okay. Because a lot of major arcana typically signifies like super important, impactful events. Okay, so can we clarify the Three of Wands? That's a lot. Getting sassy here. Getting sassy. I always have to laugh when I get like the Fool though, because it's Kronk. And I get like, I'm gung-ho about that. I'm like, Kronk was a victim. He was a victim of Yzma. Although rest in peace, Eartha Kitt. God, she was amazing. If you don't know much about Eartha Kitt, like you need to research her because she was beautiful. She was amazing. And she went through hell in the US for a long time, like to the point where she had to leave. And then when she came back, she got roles like in Ernest Scared Stupid, Emperor's New Groove. She was also in like the 70s Batman television series as Catwoman. Okay, I'm only... Okay, I'm going to take these two, but I'm going to keep them as an afterthought. Okay. So honestly, the energy that I'm getting from this is that you've had it up to here. It's like a man breathes and you want to roll your eyes, or a person breathes. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't automatically assume everybody here is female. I'm just getting a lot of feminine energy today. And also, I do kind of associate tarot readings with females. I think we're more inquisitive, but that's my problem, you know. A man watching a tarot reading or issuing a tarot reading is just as valid. And I've seen a few of them. I've seen a few male tarot readers. But it seems like you're at this point where in the recent past, like with love, you just got to a point where you like rolled your eyes. Like someone tries to make a move on you and you're just like, I'm not in the mood for this. You know, don't waste my time. We've got the Four of Swords here, which talks about resting, and the Four of Wands, which is talking about union. And that typically, a lot of people think of the Four of Wands as like soulmates or twin flame energy. And I think in the recent past, you've just been like, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about this. I am not focusing on this right now because I am so fed up with everyone's BS. Sorry. And then we have the Knight of Cups here with the Eight of Wands. And The Knight of Cups is someone, knights are all about movement. And the Knight of Cups typically is someone who's very sentimental, very emotional, can be very appealing. Um, but they might not have like the foundation to back up their talk. They might not be able to execute what they're telling you. They might not be able to live up to what they're saying. And, I think we see that with this Knight in reverse, somebody who's all talk, and who's moving in quickly, because the Eight of Wands is all about, creation and fast movement. And I think, in the past, like maybe you were won over a lot by someone appealing to your sense of emotion. And so you kind of allowed relationships to move quickly, which I'll tell you what, same. Same. It's hard because like you want to be able to trust someone. You want to be able to be like, this is genuine. And you know, sometimes it's someone intentionally trying to take advantage of you, but sometimes they just don't know how to be a good partner. And it may not necessarily be like they're trying to be smooth and suave without regards to how it's actually going to affect you. They're not necessarily trying to use you. It's just like maybe they get caught up in their emotions and they're not thinking rationally and they don't have the experience behind them and they're not really in tune with the needs, just with the wants. Um, but either way, it seems like in the past, it seems like you've had a lot of relationships that have just been really quick, unfulfilling. Now you've got the Seven of Swords here. Seven of Swords, upright is typically about competition. And I mean, like here you have, the wicked stepmother with the scroll, this and the swords, going for Cinderella's glass slipper, but this is in the reverse. And we have the Magician in the reverse, which I think we actually also had the Magician in reverse in pile 1. But I'm gonna say this, like even though there are similarity, like without throughout all 3 spreads, there have been similar cards showing up, some even in similar places. None of the energies feel the same. Like they all feel like very distinct and different. But if you feel called to either one of the other ones, like go for it. We could have more than one thing happening in our lives. But it just feels like you've gotten to a point where you kind of look at the options that you have and go like they're all the same. They're never going to change. And with this 3 of Wands in reverse, which is the beginning of a foundation, people coming together, and the Ace of Wands upright, which is about an offering, I feel like what's kind of the circumstances leading up to this is that you really had no interest for a while in pursuing anything, because it's just gotten to a point where you feel like you've seen it all, you've done it all, nobody can surprise you. And it's kind of interesting energy, to be honest, because it doesn't feel like super, super heavy. Like, it doesn't feel like you're someone who kind of looked at this and felt like super hopeless and like, why am I never going to be in love? Why does this always happen to me? Which, I mean, sometimes I go through that. And if you are going through that, I'm gonna tell you this: there are like 7 billion people in this world, And even taking away the people that like you are completely incompatible with, or the people that are like, not within the appropriate age range at all. That's still a significant amount of people in the world that are potential, and prospective partners for you. Um, Sometimes we do have growing to do to become better partners for other people, or learning how to accept the right kind of love from others. But sometimes we're just not compatible, and there's nothing wrong with that. But overall, I feel like the majority of people who are watching this, um, you're just kind of like, whatever. Like, you're a little cynical about it, but you're not letting it, like, rule your mentality. You're not feeling overcome with frustration or sadness. And, like, I gotta give you kudos for that. Because I teeter in between. Sometimes I get, like, really sad and really, like, really depressed about it. I always pick myself back up over it, but, it's hard sometimes when so much of society tells us that we need another person to complete us, and that, we're only fulfilled if we have a romantic partner. And I mean, that's just not the case. I mean, first of all, there are people who want more than one person. Second of all, there are some people who never find a romantic partner, for whatever reason. And that doesn't mean that their life has been any less lived, or that their existence is any less authentic. There are some people who just don't want a partnership, and that's totally valid as well. We are complete people on our own, and a partnership is only supposed to kind of be a positive addition. And so kudos to you for kind of taking that mentality of where you're just like, I'm just not wasting time with these F boys anymore. And I'm just going to do me, and I'm just going to wait for someone who has something worthwhile to give me. These other three cards fell out, and it's funny how I mentioned that, that there weren't a lot of major arcana coming out, because all three of these are major arcana. So we've got 16, the Tower. What I think is beautiful about this tower is that it's not crumbling. It's got Rapunzel's hair flowing out of it. So it's like an opportunity. But the Tower, of course, is always about, like, it's a card of change. And it used to be the card that I hated the most, because it deals with, like, really abrupt change. And I'm not good with that so much. But I don't mind it so much anymore. I'm learning to kind of take it in stride. But it's an abrupt change that occurs, can feel devastating, but it's really there to rebuild the foundation into something that is stronger and healthier for you. We also have True Love, which is the Lovers in this particular deck. And I mean, this does really feel like a love reading. Like, this really does feel like May is going to bring something about romance into your life. But the Lovers typically also talks about choices. And then we have the Star in reverse. Now, the Star in reverse is one of the cards that is still relatively positive, even in its reverse stage. Just like the Sun. And you could even look at, like, what's another one? I think, like, the Ten of Cups in reverse is also typically a relatively positive one. But what this to me says is, this just kind of feels like a message from the universe that's just like, hey, there is still an opportunity for true love to come into your life, even when it seems like all the options have been crap. Because the Star in reverse is really about, like, there's been doubt or dismay but there's still like a glimmer of hope, of success. And that, um, there's this tower, which is just saying like, to me, that there's going to be this drastic change, and with this not being a tower that is breaking, but instead has Rapunzel letting her hair down. When we think of the story of Rapunzel, we typically think of her doing that and then the prince climbing up her hair. And so I'm getting actually kind of a beautiful message from this card. Not in the sense of like someone saving you, but someone who is willing to climb up and meet you on your level. I think really that is what that card is saying. That the month of May is an opportunity that is coming where you may meet someone, or you may know somebody who's going to take the action to show you that they are willing to meet you up on your level. That they're not here to be superficial, that they're not here to just have a good time and then leave, or here to play emotional games, but they're here because they really see something special with you. Oh my God. I am so happy for you. I am so stinking happy for you. And not just because like there is love coming in for you and me, but also because like it's going to be somebody worth your time. Like it might be a lifelong partner or it might not, but regardless of if it is or isn't a lifelong partner, I think this is somebody who's actually really going to cherish you and show you that there are mature people out there. And that sometimes, it really is best for us to have higher expectations and to kind of hold to ourselves until we meet somebody who's worth our time. So now I'm going to get some message cards from you, well, from the universe to you. Just as kind of guidance, uplifting messages and some guidance. So Spirit, what do we have as guidance for group number 3 regarding... Oh, here we go. Clarity. Oh my God. Oh my God. See, what did I tell you? Oh my God. I was talking about how the wolf pendant to me means like seeing through illusions and seeing clearly and seeing the truth. Okay. Clarity, stopping to listen to my inner self. I can easily separate my intuition from my mental chatter. The clarity of my intuition is a sweet, simple fruit that tastes familiar. And the mental chatter is a confusing, bitter rind that I shall peel off and chuck into the garbage or compost heap if your mental chatter happens to be organic. So yeah, and I definitely think this means that you're at a point in your life where you are better able to discern somebody who has superficial intentions versus somebody who has very genuine intentions. And it's just like kind of encouraging you, like, listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. Listen to that thing that you know, even though you don't know how you know, instead of allowing your mind to take control and overwhelm you with the reel of possibilities, many of which are things that are just oftentimes irrational or improbable. All right, we'll get another card. That did not go. Didn't go. All right, so another message for group number 3 about the theme of May. Group number 3, theme of May. Group number 3, theme of May. Mm. Okay, Shungite, detox your life. And maybe that's what you're going to have to do to really draw this person in, is do some kind of detox, whether it's getting away from people who are toxic for you, um, leaving behind toxic or unhealthy habits, picking up healthier habits, or even just like detoxing your thoughts if they're negative. Whatever you feel is like cluttering you and kind of hindering you, work on that. Because as we begin to purge the negative things from ourselves, we make room for the positive, and really that allows us to attract better for ourselves. And it also allows us to better discern what is good for us and who is good for us and who isn't. Another advice card. Oh, group number 3, advice for their theme of the month of May. Group number 3. Okay. Oh, Feather. Think first before you judge. So I think there's a person who's going to be coming in the month of May, or someone that maybe you already know on some level who may be expressing interest in you. And your gut instinct might to be kind of to roll your eyes and discredit the opportunity or the person, but the universe is really telling you, like, I think you should give this one a shot. Like, don't let past experiences really taint your hopes for the future, and your willingness to explore the possibilities in the future. And I am drawing one more, and I'm going to say the same thing that I said the past two readings, which is we do not support the TERF JK Rowling on this channel. I still love Harry Potter. I do. And we got another card. We got an identity card. Okay, so Professor Moody. Come on, Potter. What are your strengths? Harry. I don't know. Well, I can fly. I mean, I'm a fair flyer, but Professor Moody, better than fair, the way I heard it. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I'm sorry for anybody who lives over in the UK. I'm American, and I'm just really bad at accents. In Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Professor Moody reminds Harry to acknowledge his strengths when taking on the first task in the Triwizard Tournament. Harry follows this advice and uses his exceptional flying skills to defeat the Hungarian Hortail and retrieve the golden egg. What are your particular strengths, and how do you use them in your daily life? What do these strengths tell you about who you are? And I think that could have a couple of meanings for you, which is like, there's a possibility that if you haven't met this person, that doing something that inspires you, doing something that you enjoy, doing something that you're good at, is something that will draw this person to you. But I think it's also a reminder, like, you are worthy. Think about all of the positive things, like, you are somebody who is worthy of love. You are somebody who is worthy of companionship. You are worthy even if you don't have a companion, or I mean, if you don't want a companion, like, you really don't want one, I mean, it's pretty late in the game to say this, but then this probably isn't the pile for you. But, like, I mean, hold on to that, because that's like, when you know your worth, you're going to find a partner who knows your worth just as much as you do. And don't settle for less. I mean, doesn't mean that the person has to be perfect, because that's an impossibility. But it should be somebody who compliments you and who values you and who respects you. And by acknowledging your strengths and understanding like your worth, you're really going to draw that in. So pile number 3, that is where I'm going to leave it with you. I hope this resonated. If it did, please let me know in the comments below. And it would also be great if you could subscribe. I am going to start doing this more consistently. My goal is once every week. At latest once every other week, just to start. And getting those interactions really helps to get these videos seen. And for me, I don't know, it's kind of cheesy, but I just really like being of service to people. And I like knowing or feeling like I'm doing something that is beneficial to someone else and helping someone else, because I've been through a lot of crap. And there are times I had to go out alone, and there were times where I had a lot of wonderful support. And so I really want to be a support system out there for people. And like, I'm not a licensed counselor. I'm 1 year away from like my bachelor's in psychology, but I think I'm done with that. I'm pretty happy as a CNA right now, but I don't know, I would love the opportunity to be of service to more people, and interactions like that really help. So you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week.